Okay, we're talking about composting, and nature breaks things down every day. It's just a very natural process for things to decompose and break down. What we're trying to do is enhance that process and speed up the process. And so how does it get from this to this? And so we'll talk about that a little bit. But this is really the goal, what we're trying to do. And that happens through what we would call composting. Controlled decomposition is what we're after. So all we're doing is creating the parameters to make it happen the most efficiently. Nature's doing it, and that's done by the microbes. These microbes need air, food, and water. Basically, it's the same thing, but we need a ratio of carbon and nitrogen. Sometimes they're referred to as greens and browns. We're going to refer to them as the nitrogen and carbon sources. They're essentially the same things. And so this grass might be a good nitrogen source. Green leaves, any green materials usually are considered nitrogen. As well, you know, if you have a piece of fruit, you know, we have orange peels, we have some carrot, we have a corn cob. Now a corn cob is probably dry enough that it's more going to be a carbon source. So here's some examples of other carbon sources. We have some dried leaves, we have some twigs and sticks, and so this would be carbon. One of the other functions of carbon is also to provide some structure. That's why we have these bigger pieces of wood that help us to provide porosity and structure in our composting mix, because we want controlled aerobic decomposition. Aerobic means we have air. And if we have just too many like grass clippings, it'll just turn into a big mat and we won't have air. As these microbes break this down, it's going to turn into an anaerobic process, which is what we don't want. We want aerobic. It's faster and it gets our results quicker. And it might look like something like this when we're all done. It's all ground up. You see a few sticks in here. There's some grass clippings, some green leaves, some brown leaves. It's also got a good structure to it. It's fluffy. It's not really dense and matted. So we've talked about the food. We've talked a little bit about the air with the structure that we need. And then we also need some water. We need about 50% moisture. So that allows the bacteria that's breaking this stuff down to live. It needs a film of water to live on, and so water is important. So it's a bit of combining both the nutrient requirements and structural requirements. So that's how we get from this point to this point.